morning. Welcome to Yoga with YUKO to Wednesday morning live class. This is a 15 minutes yoga class for basic yoga to improve functionality of your body. So it's maybe not the yoga you usually do. We focus on one spot every month to improve movement function of the body parts. In July, we are focused on the mobility of the hip joint, biggest joint of our body, and the flexibility, mobility of hip joint affect a lot of part of your body, especially the lower back issue, tight hamstring. They are all related to tightness of a hip joint or lack of strength of a hip joint. So instead of just talking, we're just gonna start moving. We're just gonna focus on a lot of cat-cow movement. And a lot of time cat-cow movement is so from neutral position. So cat pose is a flexion of your hip joint. And cow pose is a flexion of a hip joint. A cat pose is an extension of your hip joint. But hip joint move all kind of direction by moving hips, legs in all kind of direction. Relationship between pelvis and leg changes, so you can access different muscle. So we're gonna do a lot of cat-cow movement today. But before we do that, let's lay on our back and just loosen up your muscle around your hips. So keep your hip about hip width and just simply swing your knees and hip side to side. So your lower back need to be loose to create a functional movement in the hip joint. So all body parts are connected, especially around the area you are working on. Those muscles need to be mobile as well to get the better benefit of the body parts. So lower function of your hip joint, you need to work on your lower back and hamstring as well. Now, bring your knee a little closer. My legs are about hip width. Knees are pointing up. Toes are pointing forward. That's very important. So we want to keep your hip joint neutral position and slightly lift your hips off the floor. Palms on the floor for extra support. Tuck your chin. Just swing your hips side to side. So you're not moving feet, just moving hips side to side to loosen up your inside of your hip socket. And next time you swing your hips to the right, coming up to the bridge pose. And exhale, swing your hip to the other side to flex your hip joint almost the floor. In reverse direction, inhale, swing your hip to the left to come up hip joint, bridge pose. Exhale, swing your hip to the right to lower your hips. 2 more. Inhale, swing your hips right to come up bridge pose. Exhale, swing your hip to the left to lower your hips. And inhale, swing your hip to the left to come up, bridge pose. Exhale, swing your hip to the right to lower your hips. Do one more. Inhale, swing your hip to the left to come up, bridge pose. Exhale, swing your hip to the right to come down. Inhale, swing your hip to the right to come up, bridge pose. Exhale, swing your hip to the left to come down. Lower your hips so hips are not touching floor. Now focus on the movement of your hip joints. Next time inhale, mindfully extending hip joint, extend, to going up to bridge pose. Again, toes are pointing forward, knees are pointing up, legs are parallel to each other. And exhale, flex your hip joint to lower your hips almost to the full lower. So keep your feet grounded. Inhale, extend your hip joint, extend to the bridge pose. And exhale, flex, lower your hip joint. Can you do 2 more? Inhale, extend to bridge pose. Exhale, flex, lower your hips. Hips are not touching floor. 1 more. Inhale, extend to bridge pose. Exhale, flex to lower your hips almost to the floor. And go ahead and bring your hips to the floor and just catch breath hard. Relax your back. Full inhale and relaxing exhale. Now coming up on the tabletop pose, let's do normal cat-cow, toes are tucked. And next time, inhale, Flex your hip joint. So you tilt your pelvis down, you're squeezing hip joint, flexing hip joint. And exhale, extending hip joint to the cat pose. And inhale, flex your hip joint to cat pose. Lift your chest. And exhale, extend your hip joint to cat pose. Round your back, tuck your chin. And inhale to flex your hip joint to cow pose and lift chest. And exhale, extending hip joint to coming into cat pose. Round your back, lift your shoulder blades. And we're gonna change the direction of the leg and the pelvis. So start with open right leg to the side. So I'm gonna facing camera. So open right foot out and pinky toes are grounded. And then we do cat-cow movement. So it's a little harder to move, just a little movement is okay. And focus on the sensation of your right hip joint and no pain. Don't force your knee or joint to move your pelvis. So inhale to tilt your pelvis down, squeezing right hip joint. And exhale, lift your pelvis to ladies. Make sure pinky toes stay on the floor, toes are pointing forward. Inhale, cow. And exhale, round your back, cat pose. And inhale, cow, ground your pinky toe. And exhale, round your back for cat pose. And another inhale, cow to lift chest. And exhale, round your back to open up your hip joint. Two more, inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Do one more, inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. So from here, same legs, but I want you to move your feet a little bit to the back. Again, the relationship between pelvis and leg changes. And so you may not able to ground your pinky toe, but if you can ground your pinky toe or 5 toes, and inhale the cow spine, so different sensation. And exhale, round your back to cat pose. And another inhale, cow. Lift your chest. And exhale, round your back for cat pose. Just do my inhale, cow, squeezing the right hip joint. And exhale, round your back to open up your hip joint. Do one more, inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Now bring your legs forward next to the hip. And we're going to externally rotate your hips. And so your toes are pointing up, knees are bended, just like a goddess pose position. And we're going to move your pelvis up and down. And you can only move your pelvis just a little bit. That's okay too. Make sure no pain to your knee and hip joint. So inhale, mindfully, tilt your pelvis down. Feel the right hip joint squeeze and flex. And exhale, round your back to release your right hip joint. And inhale, cow spine, squeezing right hip joint, tilt your pelvis down. And exhale, round your back to open up your hip joint. Just 2 more. Inhale, cow spine. And exhale, round your back, cat spine. Do 1 more. Inhale, cow. Squeezing right hip joint. And exhale, cat pose to open up your right hip joint. And from this position, just simply slide your hip to the back. A little more, squeeze the right hip joint. Inhale, forward to release your hip joint. Exhale, move your right sitting bone to the back to squeezing right hip joint. Inhale. And exhale. Do 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. And bring your right knee down. Normal tabletop pose. On your face, do the normal cat-cow to see how you feel. So my right hip joint a little more spacious. Feel like a little more mobile. I hope you feel the same. And we walk on the other side. So extending left leg out. Toes are pointing forward. Pinky toes are grounded. And inhale to tilt your pelvis down to squeezing left hip joint. And exhale, round your back to open up your left hip joint. And inhale, count to squeeze your right hip joint. Left hip joint. Exhale, round your back to open up. And inhale, cow, go round your left pinky toe. And exhale, round your back to open up your left hip joint. Do one more. Inhale, cow spine. Drop your pelvis to squeezing hip joint. And exhale, round your back to open up. And coming back to neutral position, and slightly move your left leg to the back. Change relationship between pelvis and leg on the left side. And inhale, cow spine, just a little movement. And exhale, lift your pelvis to open up. And inhale, tilt your pelvis down to squeezing the hip joint. And exhale, rounding back to squeeze. Do two more. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, flex your hip joint. Exhale, extending hip joint. And coming back to neutral spine, bring your left foot forward. So externally rotate your hip joint, coming to like goddess pose leg. And do little movement. So inhale to lift your tilt your pelvis down to squeezing hip joint. Make sure do not cause any pain to your hip joint or knee. Just do what your body allow you to do. Exhale, round your back to open up your hip joint. And inhale, cow to squeezing left hip joint. And exhale, round your back to open up your left hip joint. Do one more. Inhale, cow. And exhale, round your back, cat pose. And from this position, I'm going to switch direction. So from this position, and use your exhale, move your left sitting bone to the back to squeezing left hip joint. And inhale, move your spine forward to release. And exhale, move your left sitting bone to the back to squeezing left hip joint. Inhale, move your spine forward to release. And exhale, move your left hip sitting bone to the back to squeeze. Inhale, spine forward to release. Exhale, move your left sitting bone to the back to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze left hip joint. And go ahead and coming back to center. And bring your left knee in. Again, do huge cat-cow for your own pace and see where you are. Hopefully, your hip joints are even between right side and left side. And go ahead and lay on our back. And we're just going to a little twisting movement to loosen up your spine. And go ahead and straighten left leg and grab your back of your right knee with left arm. So we're going to kind of diagonal line and take a deep inhale and exhale, squeezing right hip joint and move your right knee to the left for a little flexion. So yeah, legs and hands are left arm and right legs are pulling each other. So you can feel the squeeze and stretch in the right hip joint at the same time. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So leg wants to go up. Well, I want to pull your leg down. And coming back to center, bring your both feet to the floor and swing your knees side to side to see how you feel. Hopefully you have a refreshed sensation to your right hip joint. And we switch side, extending right leg to the floor. Hug your back of your left knee with right arm. So they are pulling each other. So you go ahead and use your left arm to support your body. Tuck your chin, take a deep inhale. Exhale, move your left knee to the right. And your leg wants to go back to the left. And your right arm is pulling leg to the right. So they are pulling each other. So tuck your chin to protect your neck. Pull, pull, pull. And coming back to center, bring your feet to the floor and swing your knees and hips side to side to check the sensation of your hip joint. Hopefully they are both refreshed, more mobile, and 15 minutes ago. So how's your hip joint? Is it moving better when you sit up? Can you sit up easily? You can ground your sitting bone a little more easier so you can lengthen spines easier. Hopefully this yoga was helping somebody somewhere this morning. And you have a request, what you like to see on a basic yoga, you can leave your request under the comment section. And thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Let's have a great day. Thank you so much and see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.